3 keys are required to open the safe that contains the still intact holy books that belong to the Edessa community. Lay members of the church keep 2 of the keys, and the bishop keeps the 3rd. Among the precious manuscripts in the safe is the Chronicle of Michael the Syrian, Mor Mikoyel Rabo, dating from 1199 AD. Syriac became the literary language of all Christians of Aramaean descent, both in the Eastern Empire and farther east in the Sassanid Empire. Syriac had its own translation of the Bible, the Peshitta, still used today. And in the course of centuries, Syriac has generated a vast amount of literature by many important authors. Saint Ephrem of Nisibin, in particular, is one of the greatest poets of the early church. It was he who coined the phrase, the hidden pearl, to describe the Christian message.
حد من يوم مرقونيثو شقلث آحي حزيت بهروزي بني ملكوثو يقني وتفصي دهوي رابوثو هوتلو معينو وشتي ثمينو روزا ودبرو في قدامي ملكوثو دشنايو المرقونيثو
صمتوه أحاي عال فساد إيد تباقي بوه إزيد دحزيه من حد قبو هوت لوه أفي من كل جابين بصوته دبرو دلو متدرخد كولوه نهروي ري قدامي ملكوتو دشمايو مرقونيتو
بهاي شفيوتو حزيت الشفيو دلوم الدلح وابدا خيوتو روزو رابو فغرد موران ضم صالالو بلو فولوهو حزيت القشتو دلوم تفالخ
ريح قدامي ملكوتو دشمايو مرقونيتو.
These Aleppo school children are reciting one of St. Ephraim's poems. It is as though their voices have crossed the border into Turkey, traveling to their ancestral home of Nisibin in search of the memory of Mor Ephrem the Syrian. Mor in Aramaic means Lord, Monsignor, or Saint. Until a short time ago, here in Nisibin, known today as Nusaybin, an inscription was to be found on the walls of this church, recording the date 359 AD, which means that Saint Ephrem himself might have seen it being built, since he was still living in Nisibin at the time. We searched for the inscription in vain in the church dedicated to Saint Jacob of Nisibin, another great Syriac saint that welcomed us in the empty silence of its splendid desolation. In Aleppo's new cathedral, one of the countless Syrian Orthodox churches dedicated to St. Ephrem, the remarkable modern frescoes are influenced by the rich Syriac culture, whose greatest figures were Bardaisan, known as the Aramaean philosopher who died in 222 AD, the poets Balai, Narsai, and Jacob of Seruj, along with authors such as John the Solitary, Philoxenus of Mabuch, Sergius of Reshaina, and John of Ephesus, all belonging to the 5th and 6th centuries. Followed in the 7th century by such men as Severus Sabocht, Jacob of Edessa, and Isaac of Nineveh, or Isaac the Syrian. These were followed in later centuries by great scholars such as Mushe bar Kifo, Dionysius bar Salibi, the patriarch Michael the Great, and culminating in the polymath Gregorius bar Ebroio in the 13th century. Included among these illustrious figures